Hi all, and welcome to this Better Your Chess live stream. It's the third one already since I started streaming the day before yesterday. So let me introduce myself. My name is Waldemar Moes from Better Your Chess, and I will be your host for the coming 60 to 90 minutes or so. So what are we going to do? Just like yesterday, I'll be setting up blitz challenges with a time control of 5+3. And since this streaming and talking business is new to me for the moment, these challenges from my side at least will be casual. But if you want to challenge me, that's also fine. Please use 5+3 for the time control, and I will accept both rated and casual. So then after the game, I'll take some time to analyze it with the tools that leadchess.org offers us, and hopefully everybody will learn something. Now, depending on the content of this game analysis process, it may take a while, so tonight or today or tomorrow rather will not be about playing game after game after game, but more about learning something. So also after each game analysis, I will take a look at the chat to see if there are any questions. If I don't forget to do that, I can sometimes be rather immersed in the process of chess game analysis. Anyways, let me quickly check something here. Yeah, that's cool. I'm now also on the Lead Chess streamers list, and since I just started the stream, I'm on the top, so that's good. Anyway, without further ado, let's have some fun. It's game on. So, we're here at Lead Chess. I'm going to create a game. Casual 5-3, that's fine. Let's see what happens. Oh, and of course, again, I forget to put the microphone right under my nose. Hi, Diletant, welcome. Let's play a game. Aha, so you want to try the Van Gate opening, yeah? One of my favorites as well. Let me try and maneuver the game into Sicilian waters here. Okay. Sicilian waters for sure. Interesting. So, well, normally I try to block the bishop's diagonal towards f7. Now what should I do? Can I just play the normal knight f6? I think I can. Let me just play knight f6 because e4, e5, I can just take that. If he goes bishop g5, I'm not too afraid. I'll just play bishop e7 or maybe h6, I don't know yet. And then sooner or later I also want to go d7, d5. But before I do so, I might just want to play a6. So as to prevent the bishop from coming to b5 after d7, d5. So maybe now he wants to play e5, yeah? It's a bit of a pity, maybe. So if I go a6, he plays e5. Then where to go with my knight? Well, I think there may still be a solution. Let's just try that. So the idea now is that after e5 I'll go knight g5, hitting his e-pawn 2 times. Then if he defends it with bishop f4, I want to go d6. Okay. But now I think I'll just go for it now, d5. If he recaptures that, then how should I recapture? Yeah, I mean, I feel attracted to just hitting the bishop, winning that tempo, right? Yeah, okay, that's a check. I understand. But I wanted to go bishop e7 anyway to finish my development. d5 is still protected. And now I'm really not so sure that the queen is so well placed. Now I can castle here. I can also play h6 to prevent bishop g5 from putting extra pressure on. But I always have a bishop e6 to extra protect my d5 pawn. So let me just play this move. It somehow looks like the most aggressive one, and then if he allows me, I will pin him with bishop g4, and then I will be threatening knight d4, ruining his position. So I have to be a bit careful. But
The nice thing here is that it's troublesome for him to unpin because the bishop is over at b3, and there are really no useful squares for the queen to go to. But even if I manage to double the pawns on f3, how will I continue afterwards? Because there will still be the pressure against my apologies, there will still be pressure against d5, and playing d5 d4 will open up squares and diagonals excuse me, for his pieces. So I'm not too happy yet. Of course, now he's attacking. So if I play knight d4, he will take on e7. So first I think I must play rook e8. But I like that move because, you know, the rook is protected by the knight. That means that there will always be a strong bishop discovery in the position. Now I should be studying those Lichess colors a little bit more, because if I click again on the board, then I have to click it 2 times to get rid of all the paint. And to my taste, that's a little bit too much, maybe. Yeah, okay, cool. Everything's fine. So Dilettante is thinking, yeah. Now, of course, I should make use of the attack on the queen. Yeah. So if you're being attacked, guys, then always look for a counterattack. That's my big tip. Well, one of my big tips to you. 90% of the times, you know, statistically speaking, if you're being attacked, stand your ground. Try and do a counterattack. If I would remove the bishop here, that would be rather passive. For instance, to h5 he could go. Yep. Okay, what's going on here? I mean, f3 is weak and vulnerable. Let me just take this piece. He cannot really recapture because then knight f3 would just simply win the queen. So that looks like a piece to me. I'm also overprotecting d5. Yeah, that's very tricky. Also, you know, there is bishop d6 and his rook on e1 is hanging. This should be a winning position. What happens if he plays bishop d2? Or I can always take on b3 sooner or later. You know, maybe bishop d6 was even stronger there, I'm thinking. Because now he gets to play the bishop to d2 or e3, safeguard his rook on e1. And then I'm not so sure if I'm trapping. But then again, if he goes to e3, I can take... right. So now I have to play with precision. Now I have to play with precision. Funnily enough, there is not an immediately convincing move for me to play. But it just looks good to play this move. If I move the bishop to d6, am I not missing some kind of trickery? No, I don't think I am. I should just involve both rook and bishop. Let's not forget that his back rank is weak. And I'm now also controlling the h2 square. That's also kind of nice. Okay, this is the type of position where you feel that there should be something very strong. Well, I'm looking at h6, which is a nice move somehow to make, because if he takes on e8, I will capture with the queen. I don't want to take here. Yeah, it's those highly tactical positions where you're even up a piece that can sometimes be complicated and confusing, because there's so many good moves. Yeah, the idea was to go here. Now I'm threatening queen e1. So he has to go back something like queen e3 or queen d2. But, you know, it's not very pretty, is it? It's not very pretty. If he goes back, then I will just finally take on b3. I think I still played it quite alright. I did not, at least, let the advantage slip. Yeah, that's sort of smart. He understands what's going on here. Let me just take that guy. I think it's time now to take this guy. So I'm currently up 2 pieces. Yeah, okay, I think that's still wrong after all, because now this check, guys, it's still the mating idea. Okay, well, Dileton, thank you very much for the game. Okay. So let's go to analysis board. So where did, I don't know, where did the chat go on leechess.org? Okay, so request a computer analysis. And now let's go through the game together. Yeah, so this is interesting. The Van Geet opening. The proper reply to the Van Geet opening, quote unquote proper according to theory, is to play d4, d5 and be able to immediately kick the knight. But, you know, white players normally go like this, and if black then closes the position, they don't mind rerouting the knight over here. And then they will play according to this scheme. They'll put the knight here, this bishop here, if given the chance. They will castle short, they'll play d2, d3, and then somehow, if tactically correct, they will move this knight over here, and then they will have 2 knights controlling the f4 square, and of course f2, f4 will generate an enormous attack, especially if black has castled kingside. So I know these schemes, and I prefer to play something more along Sicilian lines. So e4 was played, knight c6, bishop c4. Normally bishop c4 is not a very threatening opening setup. You can see that even after a move like e6, the computer only very slightly prefers black. So instead of bishop c4, you know, normal would be to play something like knight f3, and then with d6 you can maybe aim for a Najdorf, or with g3 you can aim for dragon setups, and then white can and I think should play the open Sicilian setup. But okay, apart from that, nothing wrong with bishop c4, it's just not so testing. So e6, d3 played. Yeah, he suggests I should start with a6. I played knight f6 here, knight f3, a6 now was played, castles, d5 he likes. Okay, the bishop goes to b3. So yeah, it's funny how these computers work. So you might explain this exchange as follows. If white now exchanges, he is exchanging a pawn in the center for a pawn that was on e6, not yet in the center. And after the exchange, black now ends up with a pawn in the center, and white no longer has a pawn in the center. So that means, apologies, that for instance, these two squares have become more accessible to the black's pieces, and that's probably what Stockfish in this case doesn't like so much. Anyway, these are very subtle differences, and Queen e2 was played in between. I don't think that was such an accurate move, because yes, it's appealing maybe to give a check, but I wanted to play bishop e7 anyway to finish my development, and later on then it will turn out that the queen is vulnerable on the e file there, and that's exactly what happened. So bishop e7 was played, bishop b3. Yeah, that is sometimes my tendency, that I quite often don't play the strongest, or at least the sharpest move. I mean, it's obvious that we're not able to always play the strongest move, right? And what does that mean, the strongest move? How can we recognize the strongest move in chess? But if we say the sharpest move, we are already put into a certain direction. The computer suggests here bishop g4, and that move is sharper, more testing, more threatening, because obviously, again, I'm toying with ideas like knight d4. Maybe white would have been forced to react sooner and faster rather than after castles. So even though castles is of course a perfectly fine move, white could now have prevented bishop g4, which was such a nasty move, with h2, h3. So I should have taken the opportunity while I could. Jonathan Rowson refers to this as blinking, you're just missing that window of opportunity. Anyways, so yeah, back to the game where castles was played, and I get a second chance to play bishop g4, which of course I do now. Now my opponent, what did he play? Rook e1, rook e1. Yeah, okay, I mean, I understand, because he's hitting my bishop now. Then again, I already wanted to play rook e1, and since his queen is in front and my rook is protected by my knight, I think that the situation on the e file is still preferable for white. Yeah, now the computer is showing one move here, queen d1, and also an arrow for queen d1, but just a moment ago he was also suggesting queen f1. And I was already referring to this. What happens if I can just, let's say, double him, because sooner or later he needs to bring his queen into safety. I can just double him. Then obviously he has a long-term structural weakness, but it's still not completely clear how I would make use of that. Yeah. Of course, knight d4 suggests itself, right? I mean, I would be threatening some horrible stuff here. Yeah, if he protects that with queen g2, I might already just go for knight b3, completely ruining the structure, and that should be winning. Also, stealing white's bishop pair from him. So that would suggest that maybe queen d1 is better. And then again, knight d4 would have been possible. But at least f3 would still be protected. Bishop g5 would be an idea. But again, I would have an advantage here. Maybe now queen d6, as the computer suggests, just to make my rooks communicate. Very nice. Now, also with hindsight, we might say that if we go back just a little bit to where white played bishop b3, it's probably better to go to a2, because at least if you go to a2, you're not in the range of the knight on d4, and therefore black would not be able to double the pawns on the b file in so many variations. Anyway, we go back to the game where after rook e1, rook e8 was played, and then yeah, white played h2, h3. He is questioning the bishop, but also in a sense he's handing over the move, the tempo, back to black. And of course we play the counterattack now with knight d4. And we can see by the computer evaluation minus 3.9 that black by now is clearly winning. So queen e5 was played. I was thinking, but was I thinking correctly there? No, I don't think I was thinking correctly there. That bishop d6 would have been a good move, because for the moment the rook on e1 is still protected by the knight on f3, so the rook is not hanging. So if we execute this move, then of course white should look for a move with his queen. I thought that maybe he could still play this, but then of course, yeah, that's interesting. Now I will take this guy with check, eliminating the defender of the rook on e1. So, yeah, just to recap, after knight e5, bishop d6 would also have been a win, but maybe slightly less convincing according to the computer. I understand now why, because white should give up material. Of course, we were captured with the knight. That's relevant, that the knight was protecting, but now at least white also gets to take this bishop. And if we just execute this exchange, for instance, white can say that at least he still has a rook and a knight for the queen. And that's better than in the game. So in the game I played the bishop f3. Of course he cannot recapture because of knight f3. Royal fork to king and queen, and now rook e3 was played. Yeah, so I was hesitating, but bishop d6 is of course the move that cries out to be played, just to involve both bishop and rook into the game and try to make use of those back rank weaknesses. Okay, well, queen takes e8, yeah, try to win some material back, but queen g5 is also perfectly understandable. h6, computer agrees with my move. Yes, I foresaw that now I am threatening the back rank mate, and of course the queen has to return to defend against that. So Dilettante finds the best defense here. Knight e3, and yeah, he suggests now that I should have played queen d7 just to bring in the other rook again, harass the queen on the e file. But now I just start looking for very dull technical solutions. So if ahead, don't be afraid to trade. That rhymes. So that's what happens here. And now there is a problem, because of course the in-between capture is not really possible, because now if you want to regain your piece on b3, it is mate as in the game. Okay, so I think that concludes the analysis of this game. If we take a look at the graph, we can say that this is also quite a gradual affair. It has been a rather even affair, in the sense that this is just a proper bear market with no big spikes up in this case. Okie dokie. I think we discussed everything, you know, as far as inaccuracies and mistakes is concerned, and so on. So let's just look for the second game. Let's create a new challenge. Okie dokie, here we go. Okay, this is good fun. Waiting for a challenge though. Normally it doesn't take so long. Yeah, here we go. Abu Shabab 1, welcome. Let's play a game, d4. Okay, there's a question mark behind his rating, so he's probably starting out new. So it could be an inexperienced player, could also be a very strong player that wants to boost his rating. But of course this is a casual game for now. Yeah, I'm playing the London system. As I said yesterday, it's a bit of a favorite. Yeah, so many players play this Chigorin move. And very often then, instead of with c3, I like to play it with c4, because then it's a little bit more easy to create long-lasting pressure against the c7 pawn. Sometimes also in conjunction with knight c3 to b5. But you know, that's all future music. That's what we would say in Dutch. I don't know if there's a proper equivalent for that word in English. Let's try this c4 move. I like it. It's aggressive. It's not easy to protect that pawn, of course, or support rather. So you can maintain a pawn in the center as black. Of course, if you play like this, then you're hemming in your own bishop on c8. So these things are not ideal. Is it possible, does anybody know that, if there are more colors to be used, in lichess? Yeah, That's interesting. That's interesting. I mean, you could say he's threatening to take that pawn. But I also don't want to take on d5, because that would allow knight d5 with a tempo. Well, one try is c5. I normally never like giving up the tension, but now there's so much. The other move is, of course, b3. The other move is, of course, b3. But then, okay, let's go with b3. Yeah, let's maintain the tension. I'm not really scared about weakening my dark squares, because here are his dark square pieces, and how on earth are they going to pressure my dark squares? I mean, all of his pawns are in the way, right? So that's not a good idea. Now I want to continue putting some pressure on d5. Yeah, Okay, but doesn't that lose a pawn, guys? I'm not going to take on d5. Of course, I'm going to take here. If he recaptures, that will sort of automatically and for free develop either my knight. Oh, I mean, both knight b5 and bishop b5, they're all so strong. Okay, I think I'm going to go with bishop b5 because it develops, and there's basically... Now, I wanted to say there's only one defense, which is queen d7, and then, of course, knight f3, f5 comes with a horrible tempo, but he also has this move. Now I need to be careful. Of course, he has weakened d5, but I can't take it yet. Is he threatening a discovery with his knight now that he has unpinned it? You know, the computer's probably going to suggest something like rook c1 or queen c2, put extra pressure. But let me just continue with my development. You know, I always like to play with the entire army rather than half of my army, and sooner or later, you know, those dark squares will become relevant. Yes. Now he's attacking me twice. I can take on d5. I can also protect d5. So something like queen e2, he takes on b5, but then I lose my beautiful bishop. So I think I should just take and keep the pace. I mean, there is no proper recapture on d7. If he takes with the queen, then always knight e5 will be a horrible tempo. And in this case, he is hanging the pawn on d5. Now I think I'm going to take the pawn on d5 because it's very attractive to attack c7, and of course this is the kind of pawn that I don't want to let go. There is no counter attack really. He has to protect with knight b5 or rook c8 or something like that, and that is just not very pretty. There is e5, but I don't trust that move. I don't trust e5. Now I also get to play pieces to the c file immediately and attack c5 with a vengeance. So knight b5, I was thinking a4. is probably correct, right? Just immediately challenging the protection. So now he wants to play c6. Can I do something about that? Can I play something? Oh, I'm lazy. I just want a castle here. I'm up 2 pawns. His position is, well, rather bad. But if possible, I want to somehow prevent c6, but I don't think it's possible. Well, I don't really see it. Let me just bring in all the guys. Maybe the computer will suggest something later on. Yeah, okay. As expected. Now, where do I go? I have so many squares. I mean, I might still even go knight c7. But I don't want to give him those pieces. Come on, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to do that. Why don't I just start pressuring the pawn? I think I'll just start pressuring the pawn. Like this, yeah? Okay, that's good. And now I'll just bring stuff to the C file, and sooner rather than later I'll be... Oh, but this was a mistake. He can play e5. I just blundered. Oh, I just blundered horribly. Come on. Well, yes, excellent. Well, I think I should now make the most of it. Just take this. That's a pity, huh? Oh, that was a horrible blunder. Yeah, I was thinking too much only in tunnel vision, too one-sided, so to say. Well, I still have 4 pawns for those pieces, and he still needs to finish his development. So I should try and run those pawns down the board, obviously. But how to do that? There is not really a weakness right now. Maybe his king in the center is a bit of a weakness, yeah? Maybe if I could bring the queen to b5. Maybe I could start with a3, b4, then I would be able to play b5, b6 and a4 quite quickly. These things are very difficult, you know. Should you just first develop the queen, put rooks on the center? And what are my minor pieces going to do? You know, the ones... well, e6 might be a move every now and then. I think it very much depends also on what he's going to do. I'm up on the clock, and the situation is still very, very tricky, unclear, I would say. Even though I feel that white still has the advantage, because he's up material, nominally speaking, and also up in development. But as far as, let's say, threats is concerned, yeah. Okay. Well, I think I'll just be playing a little bit for time here. Let's just run those pieces down the board. At least he managed to castle, yeah, which is good. That's good for him. But my king is still safe. Now let's see. He might just be able to block. So if I go b5, then knight a5 is a possibility. But I have to do something. At least I was able to promote my pieces, right? Knight c4. Maybe I can just introduce this guy. I should take it like that, because if I take it with the queen, then knight b3 is strong. I think I should play like this now. There was also sometimes a check. Okay. Maybe I can play this move. I have to play faster. The threat is e7. At least I'm involving this rook as well, you know. I'm up on the clock, but Abu Shab is kicking. Abu Shab is kicking. If I play this, then I have a problem. Let's play this. Need to do something, right? Okay. Let's play against those knights. Oh, okay, that's a pity. That's a time trouble mistake, for sure. That's a time trouble mistake. Now I should be able to win it. Let's play this. I don't want to give up the d4 pawn. I can take that as well, because e1 is protected. Now I also have checks. Let me check him. See where he goes. Yeah, okay, that's a problem also, I'm guessing. Now queen g8 should be made. Okay. Well, that was a tense game, because I just completely blundered with knight b4, and Abu Shab saw the correct move. Which is, in a way, not a very visual move, because if you play e7, e5, this square e5 can be captured in no less than 3 ways, but he saw it anyway. So that was excellent. So let's request a computer analysis. I think we know where we made the mistakes, but let's just run through the game. d4. Yeah, knight c6 in and of itself is not a mistake yet. This I always liked this c4 move. If he plays bishop f5, then I played knight c3, bishop e6. I didn't like it so much. The computer suggests that I should exchange flank pawn for center pawn, but normally I don't like it so much. The computer likes it, however. The idea is probably that sooner or later those pieces cannot maintain their positions on the light squares, because white will have ideas such as knight c3, challenging those light squares, and also f3 and e4. But it was not my taste. Maybe it was clearly the better move. He suggests c takes d5 with 0.8. I played b3, and that's a horrible mistake. So I made a blunder already here. That's so hard to believe. I mean, that's so hard to believe. What does he suggest as the refutation? He suggests this is the refutation, minus 0.7. Well, the idea was always, of course, to play like this. I just don't understand why this would be so good, quote unquote good. I mean, there's so many moves here. There's f3, there's queen c2, there's some interposition on e2, there's f3 now, he suggests, e5. Yeah, maybe it's, okay, maybe it's the activity with the 3 pieces that black has. Just to show one example line, f3. I thought he just suggested e5. This is very difficult for me to understand. I mean, it looks like a very normal move, b3. Again, I need to understand why. So minus 0.9, but if he plays the suggested move, then it's minus 0.4. Now instead of b takes, he suggests this, which does allow black to exchange off this rather weird looking bishop on e6. B takes c4. And now he says, okay, this square on e5 may be controlled 2 times by you, white player. But yeah, okay, this is also a well-known idea from the King's Indian. For instance, if you take like this, now there is this horrible check. Now he can make use of the dark squares. This is not, by the way, the idea in the King's Indian that I was referring to. I was referring more to this. And then, of course, in this case, there's also the check. But there is also this idea. And then if you play like this, you play like this. And then there's knight g4, hitting both e5 and f2. So this would also be better for white. And just to show what I mean with the idea in the King's Indian, it's his theory. That's just how it runs. Like this, 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 this. Now after e2, e4, white is threatening to play e4. But obviously theory recommends d6. But you may ask, so why not e5 after all? Well, because I take this move, for instance, and knight g4 is better for white. And if you recapture that with the knight, it's also not very fantastic, because I thought maybe, yeah, if you go knight h4 here, I can safely protect it, and then the knight is maybe not so ideally placed. So here knight h5 is the recommended move. Then if you protect, okay, I'm not completely sure why knight h. Yeah, of course g4 is not possible because of, because of bishop g4. So then if they want to prepare that with something like h3, obviously the knight jumps in. So then that's the reason why the knight is better placed on h5. Okay, but let's go back to the game quickly. b3. So, computer doesn't like it. a3, then again, of course, we might be better. I play knight c3, perfectly normal move, and this is definitely a mistake because I control this square 3 times. I'm thinking that Abu Shabab was only reckoning with c takes d5, but of course I can also take the other direction. C takes b, e takes b. Yeah, knight b5 is strong, bishop b5 is also strong. He slightly preferred the other move there. Okay, bishop d7 is definitely the best move, so knight f3 is fine. e6, yeah, e6, just to try and bolster the position, but this was of course not the best move. Queen e2 would have been ridiculous. I just need to keep up tempo here. Knight a5, I'm taking this guy. e5 already here, and now I made a mistake. So I castled, yeah, which is fine. Now I made the mistake. Sorry, now I made the mistake. Yeah, now I made the mistake. It's +4 by now. Well, I mean, if I can't go to b4, then I should go to c3, right? So there goes my advantage. It's still a little bit better for white, as I thought, but e5 is an excellent move, And then time trouble was creeping in a little bit more. And I was panicking maybe a little bit, so I wanted to make a desperado of the knight. But yeah, maybe it wasn't the best move. I mean, there is still the counter-attack. Of course, you can also play this. But this move sort of weakens black's position a little bit. So I should not have panicked so much. At least here you can confuse the issue even more. Which piece to take? And also weakened light squares for black. So I just started blitzing a little bit here. Knight takes. Now it's even. Okay, I took that with the pawn. Bishop a3 is beautiful. Bishop a3, because it would block my queenside pawns. And then Lapsordak. Okay. Hi Lapsordak. I see your challenge, but I would prefer 5 + 3. So if you want to play, then maybe you can change that up. And then you can try and beat me. You're a very strong player, Lobster Duck. Okay, let me just finish this this analysis. Bishop c5 here. The bishop is a little bit loose. I had to choose a plan now. So queen e5 somehow stood out, but I didn't play it because I wasn't really attacking the bishop. I did play a3. So he also likes it in the end, a3. Yeah, castles, b4, just bring those guys up. Bishop b6, he doesn't like it so much because, well, if you play the bishop to b6, then sooner or later it will always be in the path of, excuse me, not here, of course. I should remove that move. That's ridiculous. I didn't want to play that move. Anyway, never mind. The idea was to show with an arrow that I would be able to win another tempo against the bishop. So the bishop, since it is a long-range piece, should be put on a7 rather. So b4, bishop b6 was played, and then I played b5. Rook c1 would have been a bit better. Yeah, it's very difficult. So here both sides were in a bit of time trouble. Now he suggests queen b1, you know, it's very science fiction, like knight d4. I wanted to involve those rooks as well. Takes, and, well, to be honest, it was a little bit of a shootout from here. f6, yeah, that allows my pawn to move forward so strongly. Then the knight goes here. Then rook e1. I could have attacked the knight on... Yeah, this would have been a nice move, because let's say if you move here, then there is such a move. Or the other way round, rather. The fork, and now there's this skewer with bishop b4. Yeah, very nice. Okay, so rook e1, not the most precise move. So he defends. Again, the bishop d2 idea came to my mind a little bit too late. Queen c1, knight d5 was a mistake. Now I played the bishop d2, which was again not the best move. Yeah, okay, bishop d2 was played, knight c4, I could just take that. And from here on onwards, I don't think I let it slip anymore. Yeah, this was also a mistake because my pawn wasn't pinned because the rook on e1 is protected, and then a few more moves to finish this game. Okay, well, yeah, we can see that there was some erratic play here in this blitz phase, and this is the moment, of course, where I made the horrible blunder knight to b4. Okay, again, I have a challenge here from Lasperduck. 15 plus 15 is too long, guys. I'm sorry. I only want to play 5 plus 3. So, with all due respect, I'll decline this this challenge. But thank you for the challenge anyway. Let's go here. Create another game. So casual. Here we go. Okay, I play the black pieces. Let's play the Sicilian, see what happens. This is what they call the Rosso Limo, yeah? B3. Yeah, this is a good setup. This is definitely a good setup. He's pressuring g7, so I should be careful there. Let me try this move anyway. Yeah. Now he should play e5, I think, to ruin my structure. Because if he doesn't, I will play e5. That's kind of nice. Yeah, now I will play this move. Now I'll finish my development and then I'll have some dark square play. Already I feel that this is a weakness. h3 is probably a weakness. I don't think it was a problem for him to allow bishop g4, because then he could play h3, and then bishop h5 is impossible because of g4. Normally the knight in these structures is of course on f6, but here it is on g6. So what can I do? The knight is not very well placed there. I mean, knight f4 is a very attractive move, but he might go knight e2. He might go knight e2. So normally what you do here is just play on the light squares, because you still have a bishop of the light squares. The idea of the Rossolimo is, of course, to inflict doubled pawns here, but also to try and maintain black's pawns on the light squares so that they would hem in this bishop. But here in this case they don't. Still, the position is difficult because he has the e4 square, and I need to be very careful. I think I need to be very careful about that. This could win me an immediate pawn. Why not? Bishop h3 seems to win a pawn immediately. Does he have a counterattack? I don't really see it, so let's just do that. Let's just go for it. I don't think he should take, because then he would invite my rook to f3, and then also h3 would be hanging. The question is, how do I continue? Yeah. I'm not ready to push d5, because that would weaken my structure. He's very strong on the dark square, so I should maintain my pawn on d6. Maybe he is threatening well, he's still not really threatening to take here, so I could maybe make a rook move or a knight move, but I'm scared, so I'm gonna play a slow move. But then of course there's the very interesting idea of just sacking on f3. That looks very interesting. I don't know if that is correct, but that looks very appealing. Let's just play that. I don't like it. I don't like it somehow. But okay. Why don't you like it? It's good, isn't it? Now I should bring in the knight, of course. Really? Okay, let me take that once. Now I want to go to g6. Can I play g6? Queen g6, is that strong, guys? He will go king h2, and I'll go h5. He will always have... Okay, I think I'll try this. Yeah, it's scary, huh? Scary position, yeah. So his king is in danger. The bishop on d4 is in danger. But I do like my exchange sacrifice. I do like it. I'm not sure queen e8 was the strongest move there. I mean, bishop g5 was also very appealing. Okay, so what's happening here? I think I could start with the check. The check should always be played, I feel. Rook f8, he takes here, I take here, he takes here, I take here. I don't know if that's good enough. Can't really judge that. I'll play like this. Okay, I'm in danger of losing this game on time. I'm in danger of losing this game on time. Okay, I probably mishandled it. That's a big pity. That's a big pity. That's a good move. That was a very good move by him. Okay, I need to play faster. Oh, everything is dying in beauty here. Still, my position is dangerous. Let's bring in this guy. Bishop d5 f3 is a very strong idea, I think. Okay, here we go. And now this. Yeah, I think I'm not going to make this work. That's a pity. That's really a pity. Queen e2 or something is possible, yeah. I just wanted to play rook f3. I'm on the clock, losing on the clock. Yeah, I think something takes on f3 is probably winning. Oh, why didn't I play faster? Well, congratulations, Checkmonk. You defended very tenaciously there. It's a painful loss, though. Painful loss. because the position was good and winning, but okay, winning positions is the most difficult thing there is out there, right, in chess. Let's analyze the game. Maybe rook f3 was a bit a bit too ambitious. The tension you feel when you have a winning position. Yeah, okay. The end position is minus 4.7. I was about to play rook. Oh yes, queen d5. Eliminating the defender, that would be beautiful. So queen g4 was a blunder from my side. Anyways, did I already start? Yeah, look here, black was winning, but then, ooh, I made this queen g4, horrible blunder. So we'll take a look at the opening. Yeah, this is always the tricky thing. If white refrains from castling, which he should do, then he can play against the knight on g6. Magnus Carlsen plays these kinds of positions, but then he has to revert to this rather ugly move. And white has an edge here, I'm pretty sure. But not so many players know that they should not castle too early. So he castled too early, and now there is not really a problem with h4 anymore, because I'm controlling that 1-2 times. Now they suggest f6, but I don't really like this move somehow. I played d6, and the threat is, the positional threat is to play e5, so therefore white always must react like this in these cases. And then it's up to black to decide if he wants to, let's say, really scramble his, or let white really scramble his position on d6, or to push d5. But again, if you push d5, then we have a proper Rosso Limo, where this guy is really bad because it's blocked in by all his pawns. So his center pawns are mainly on the light squares. And instead, of course, you would prefer to have them on the dark squares. That's very important. But after d6, my opponent did not play e5. I think he made a mistake here. You can immediately see it in the computer's evaluation. I frustrate the rook now, because the rook doesn't really have any immediate business on the e-file, and I get to put my pawns on e5, because with both knight g6 and d7, d6, I control the e5 square now sufficiently, so that knight f3 and bishop b2 cannot take there. h3, weakening move, definitely. We could see it later on, because there was bishop h3, and rook takes f3 stuff. So now he's weakening himself on the light squares. That is to say, by moving a pawn, he is weakening this dark square, but he's also putting something on a light square in the range of my light square bishop, and he doesn't have a bishop of the light squares anymore. So of course I should get activity on those light squares. Now there is a little bit of a problem with the bishop on e7. It's rather passive. In these positions you would prefer to have it on the Italian diagonal, and then later on, as in the game for instance, if I managed to bring my queen here, when I checked him he played knight back to g3, and of course I would be able to play then queen takes g3, because this pawn is not really defending the knight on g3, because it would be pinned, because my bishop would be on the Italian diagonal. But that's a bit of a problem with the bishop e7 move. So d3 was played. Let me just finish castling. Knight c3 was played. Yeah, knight d2 I think would be a more natural move, because you could bring it here and start harassing all those dark squares. You could also just go here and harass this weakness. Instead, my opponent played knight c3, and the trajectory the knight is on here is not so convenient as it would have been from d2. Also, it is now hemming in the bishop on b2, and I have a very good game now. f5 is of course what I play. He takes, and I naturally recapture with the bishop, and now I think he makes a mistake here. I get to win this pawn. That I didn't win the game was because somehow I start playing way too slowly, and now, wow, he does like my rook f3 Yes, of course. I was about to make this very timid and scary move, or afraid move, I want to say. Bishop g4. We don't like that. This is correct. Yeah, it's -6. But how to continue? Queen d7. I don't understand the idea of queen d7. I don't understand the idea of queen d7. Well, it's to bring in the rook. We can ask the computer by using X on our keyboard what the idea is. He wants to go there. He wants to bring in the rook. And then, you know, maybe ever so slowly. Yeah, okay. You know, I'm obviously not a grandmaster or an international master, so I do have my weaknesses. I sometimes don't understand that you can also just play a position. Deeply ingrained in me is the tendency to want to force the issue, to immediately start looking for the mate now that I have sacrificed material. But, I mean, I have the bishop pair. He has a very unsafe king. He has doubled pawns. I have a pawn for my sacrifice exchange. All of my pieces are playing. I can just also sort of slow play this a little bit, bring all my pieces to the front, to the party, and then look for the final blow. So in that sense, queen d7 makes a good impression. Okay, he thinks something like this is best, because f3 is always a horrible weakness, and you can never push f3 because there's always a knight on f4 taking. So this is what the computer suggests. And here already goes f3, also with this move. Yeah, okay, now we also understand queen d7, because now the threat is this. Excuse me, this is the threat. Okay, I should learn those patterns better, those attacking patterns. Not very ideal the way I played it. So now he has to sort of give up. Now queen g4 is a threat. If you take on f3, you're re-sacrificing the exchange, but also the one on e1. So that's nothing. So you have to go here, probably, or it's still suggested. And of course this is now a winning position. Yeah, could also just take the guy on e1. Back to the game, where instead of queen d7, yeah, you know, I still don't play sufficiently, not enough with my heavy pieces. Patience, patience. Okay, this is a very attractive move, of course, but it also sort of limits the knight, because maybe the knight wanted to go to h4, hit the f3 pawn. I was, of course, you know, thinking in mating terms, but I already have a piece on g2 to support any mating patterns there. I also wanted to limit the influence from those pieces here. One of the ideas was to go here and then, of course, bishop g5, when sometimes, if the bishop is not here, I would have this very strong discovered attack. I would be harassing. Anyway, d4, I don't think that's such a good move, but yeah, still he can take. Now he says queen f8. I went queen e8. He also kind of like that, bishop here. I checked him. Well, still winning, but he prefers queen h5, because that would just, yeah, that would just immediately bring my queen to g2. Because after the check as in the game, of course he blocks, which is really the only move, and then it's not easy for my queen to reach those light squares. So I'm learning something here. Knight h5, yeah. Okay, knight g2 was there. Interesting move. This was wrong. Yeah, I missed king h2. That was a good move. Also queen d3 to confront my attacking queen would have been good. So I'm letting it slip here. Still he prefers black because of the structure and some chances. Okay, bishop e6, yeah, he agrees. Now the rook goes here. Now d5 was a move. Wow, or maybe bishop d5. Well, the idea of d5 is to play d4 to frustrate or to embarrass his bishop. Anyway, I played this move, giving up most of my advantage. Because again, with queen d3, he can confront my queen. He can confront my queen. And if he plays this move, and I don't want to exchange queens, obviously, then where do I go? I go to the f-file, but let's not forget that there's some weaknesses here also, yeah? So not ideal, not ideal. Rook h1, rook f8, king g2 was a horrible mistake. Yeah, I stumbled upon the bishop d5 idea one move too late. I think you can hear me say that. But of course, king g2 hits my knight on h5. But the counter threat is, of course, to take it with check, defend the knight, or even take the rook. So it would have been possible. I'm attacked, I should look for the counter attack. But you know, deeply ingrained into our psyche is just sometimes to react instead of be proactive and stand your ground and counter attack. So knight takes g3, f takes g3 was played. Now he thinks that this is already too late. Well, because there is the simple protection. I also thought briefly about h5, but didn't realize what I was threatening. But now I see that, of course, since the bishop is protecting h4, it would have been a threat to keep nibbling at the white king position. But this looks very attractive. Now I made a horrible blunder, because I completely missed that he can sacrifice the queen for the bishop. And that's important, because the bishop, with check even, the bishop was the guy pinning the f-pawn. So now he can just regain the queen and just reach a simply winning position. Here he's up a rook. So yeah, queen g4 was really quite bad. Queen f2 was played in all panic, and I was simply too late with executing rook f3. If I would have done that, then there might still have been a chance to win the game, using the increment, of course, because without the increment I would definitely lose on time. So yeah, if we take a look at the graph, I was sort of outplaying him in the opening in the middle game. The idea of rook f3 was correct, but I simply didn't have the playing strength to follow it up correctly. So I was hesitating, not finding the correct maneuvers. Is of course difficult. Still maintaining my structural advantage, making a huge blunder, answered by a huge blunder again by white, and me going through the clock, basically. That's the story of this game. Anyway, I like to play these positions, you know. But white should be a little bit more precise in the opening. Not give me this stranglehold on the dark squares in the center so as to activate my light squared bishop, because then you're really ruining the idea of the Rossolimo Sicilian. Well, okay guys, we've played 3 games and we've analyzed all 3 of them. I think this is the end of the session for now. I might do a session later on, probably tonight. No, not tonight, I'm guessing. Maybe late afternoon I might be doing a session. Anyway, just keep track of the channel, because I'm not sure yet. But if I'll put up a live stream, it will be announced there. And then we'll just continue doing more of the same. So please subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you like this video. Give it a thumbs up. Comment. You might also want to do some suggestions. Just leave them on the YouTube comment page. And then donate me if you want to. There's a there's a link in the description of the video description on how to do that. just to keep the lights on and to support the channel. Anyways, thanks for your attention and see you in the next live stream. Bye.